Okay, hello ladies and gentlemen. Well, mostly gentlemen, I guess. This is my guide on how to achieve rank 5 and how to climb ladder efficiently. My name is Control, and these are tips to help you become a giant from the sea. Okay, so just an introduction. Again, this isn't really PowerPoint-y form, just because I'm also going to be posting this as a Google Docs, so I want there to be some explanation, because some people may not want to hear my annoying voice for quite a while. So I made this presentation because I really want to help people climb to rank 5. It's definitely one of the most frequently asked questions when I stream on Twitch. People just ask me, okay, Controller Jesse, like how do I climb, what deck should I use, etc, etc. So I figured I would make this as there's not too much content on how to reach rank 5 online. Mostly it's just guides for Legend. And while there's a lot of overlap here, I think this is a little bit more basic. And yeah, we'll just see how it goes. So yeah, I just thought that this presentation would answer those questions. And again, these presentation and PowerPoint skills would be useful for me later on in life, so I figured I'd just do it now. Learn. And yeah, the target audience is anyone below or stuck at rank 5, even like rank 4s, rank 3s, just around there. I mean, and yeah, if you're higher than that, congrats. And feel free to leave feedback, just let me know what you think I'm doing well, what you think I'm doing poorly, and if there's anything in the guide that you think would be incorrect or you could build on. But again, I just figured I would make it because I think an expert is someone who knows on a topic is someone who knows about 3 more things than someone else. So I think compared to a lot of people that play Hearthstone, I would be considered an expert. So I figured that I should make this, but then I'm just going to preface this by saying that there are a lot of people who I would consider experts to me. So yeah, I may be incorrect or just not have the full scope of a lot of things. So let me know if that's true, or if there's anything you'd like to mention or be mentioned in this, because I will be updating it. And what are we going to cover is just some simple ladder tricks, gameplay tips, and recommended decks that I think you should use to climb. Okay, so the very first thing I would definitely recommend doing is getting a deck tracker. I personally use HS Deck Tracker. So there's a link right here. I'll have one in the description as well. And in the Google Docs, you can just control and click on it. So yeah, it's just a great tool, and I think it'll help your win percentage a lot. It really lets you understand what your outs are in a game. So we'll just go over what it does here. So it reveals the cards your opponent has used. Even if there's a joust or anything, it'll be grayed out, and it will show you here. The probability, again, of having a certain card in their hand is right here too. Very useful for that. And the turns at which each card is run. This is very crucial for letting... so say you're against a warrior, and they keep 3 cards. You can almost be guaranteed that they have a Fiery War Axe. So that's another reason why it's good. And lots of players don't pay attention to this otherwise, so I say get a deck tracker because it can keep track of that for you. And the cards left in each player's deck, I mean, well, you can just hover over here and tell, but it's still useful. The timer is very useful as well, so you know how many seconds you have left. That's always great. I like that feature. And then the cards in hand, and then the drawing probabilities. Drawing probabilities are another one of my favorite features. My 2 favorite from this definitely are the drawing probabilities and the turns at which the cards are drawn for your enemy. The drawing probabilities let you calculate just if it's worth it just to go face a lot of the time. Like, okay, so I have a 20% chance of drawing Fireball, so is it worth just to smork right now and hope that I have the 20% chance to win if you're just going to lose anyways? So that's definitely why I think it's great. And lots of professional players use it. Crip and Trump are my 2 examples. So the next topic is ladder anxiety. So it's just being worried about playing due to the outcome, and by the outcome I mean losing. So people are just afraid to queue up. They're like, okay, I have hit rank 11, that's the highest I've ever been. I don't want to go back to rank 12, so I'm just not going to play. And I don't think that's the right way to really think about it. When I started, I was about the same way. I used the rank 11 example because I was in that exact same situation a couple of years ago. But what I've done is just schedule a set amount of games to play, and regardless of the outcome, like say I'll just play 5 games today. Okay, so I'm just going to play the 5 games. If I win all 5, that's great. But then I'm going to stop after. I just don't play anymore. And yeah, set goals you can achieve as well. So just look to gain 1 rank a day, a few stars a day if you're rank 5 or above, sort of a thing. And don't be scared of losing. Yeah, it's not punishing before rank 5 because of the bonus stars. Hearthstone's pretty streaky. You can get lucky in 5 games in a row. You can get lucky win 5 in a row, or unlucky lose 5 in a row. But losing 5 in a row compared to winning 5 in a row, you gain an extra 2 stars if you're just streaky like that, getting to rank 5. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. But again, it's tough to deal with. And tilt is somewhat similar. Tilt just makes you experience emotions during the game. Like when your opponent top decks the power overwhelming, for exact lethal in your face. When you think that you know were better than them, you played the game smarter, which happens a lot. But again, it's a card game, so probability does happen, and it can favor your opponent sometimes. And being frustrated and making bad plays is terrible for your overall win rate. So I would definitely recommend after 2 losses, take a break. Unless, again, you're just going to play 5 games in a row and then stop, then just keep on playing. Unless you are tilted, then I would say, just screw the schedule, just stop. Just go play a different game. And yeah, for me, my personal tips for that is just going to work out. So, I like benching, deadlifting, squatting, just, take your mind off the game. And, go into the town of Salem and just troll, man. I mean, that's always fun too when I get tilted. So next is a pretty important one, is what deck should I choose? A lot of people just think that, there's just, okay, so this guy got rank 1 legend with the deck, so I mean, I'm going to play it and get rank 1 legend myself. But generally it's not that easy. I mean, you have to find a deck that suits your playstyle. Like for myself, even if Control Warrior was a rank 1 deck, I still wouldn't play it just because I know I wouldn't be good at it. I get bored too easily playing decks like that. So, and I'd say just go ahead in that deck. I mean, not all of us are smart enough to come up with revolutionary decks, like guys like Jackie Chan coming up with all those. I know I'm certainly not like that. Usually what I do is find a solid deck base that has been established by other pro players and then put in cards that I like to play with it. So they're basically the same list, but just a little bit different, some variation. But yeah, I would definitely recommend net decking for most people. It makes it a lot simpler to get to rank 5. However, you can use homebrewed lists as well. I think that increases the difficulty a little bit, just because net decks are so refined. And some recommendations I would make for aggro type of lists, are like Zulok and Aggro Shaman, both relatively easy lists to play, hard to master again, but easy to play pickup. As far as mid-range goes, would be mid-range Shaman, mid-range Hunter, both very, very strong lists right now as well. If you like playing control decks, I would pick Control or Cthulhu Warrior or Cthulhu Druid. Those are both all very good lists. And Tempo Mage, and Tempo Warrior. And and for this guide, I will focus on Tempo Warrior. It's not meant to be in-depth, but the guide that I'm going to show you is just sort of what you should do with any sort of deck you're going to be playing, just so you understand the ins and outs of it and can play it more efficiently. And that will help you get to rank 5 in my opinion. So next, we're just going to look at our average deck list. So this is from Tempo Storm. It's not the exact list that I run, but it's a pretty strong one. So I like to, if you're trying to pick a deck and just have fun with it, climb to rank 5, I would definitely go to Tempo Storm and just look at their meta snapshot and pick a deck. I'd say from tier 1. You can do tier 2 or tier 3 as well, but the higher the tier, the stronger the deck is, obviously. And next I would say, after you pick a deck that you think would suit your playstyle, is just go through the cards and try and understand why each of them is in the deck. And we're gonna do that next. And also, you should be planning to stick with the deck the whole time, just so you understand it best. For the highest chances of climbing to rank 5, I would say if you're going to pick Tempo Warrior, just pick Tempo Warrior, stick with it, don't change decks all the time. If you go on losing streaks, it's not a big deal. That's just variance, it's going to happen. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the cards a little bit. So Blood to Ichor is just a great versatile card. You can trade up with it. With a Fiery War Axe, you can clear the totem golems, so that's pretty good. It activates your own minions for Battle Rage. So there's synergy with Grommash, Acolyte, even cards with like Frothing. Just a lot of synergy with the deck overall. Next is Execute. So Execute is very, very cheap removal. It's a key card in almost any warrior deck, and you get huge tempo swings from it. So just imagine dealing with something like a Ysera with 1 mana. It's pretty crazy. Again, you do have to activate the enemy minions for that. But you can deal with the Shamans and Famous Doctor 4 with it, which is quite good. So I would consider keeping that card against Shamans. It synergizes well with cards like Blood to Ichor and then your Whirlwind effect cards. So they're very good. Whirlwind is another very strong card in this deck. It's just great against flood decks like Zoo and Aggro Paladin. Activates Grommash, and it can be used with Acolyte of Pain, Frothing Berserker, Bloodhoof Bane, and Armorsmith to activate their effects. Next is Fiery War Axe. It's coined Fiery 1X, and that's just because it's so strong. 2 mana, deal with 2 2-drops from your opponent most of the time. It's a very, very strong card, key in any warrior deck that's successful at least. So I don't think there's much to talk about here. It's just very, very, very strong card. Next is Battle Rage. So Battle Rage is one of my favorite cards in this deck. It's quite strong, and it allows you to just dump your hand a lot of the times, play a Whirlwind effect, and then draw your whole hand back. Super, super strong card against control decks. It's very good just for, getting the cards you need. If you need to cycle for an execute to deal with, or you say a Doctor 4, then you just damage your own minions and you battle rage and you hope to get it. But it's just very good. I think it is definitely an MVP of this deck. And new players who haven't played the deck too much will often underrate this card, just because they don't understand how strong card draw is. But again, that's something that you understand more with playing the game more, playing the deck more. Next is Slam. Slam's just a very solid card. Deal 2 damage and then draw a card. Very, very strong. So it allows you to trade up with minions, cycle through your deck quickly, and activate your minions if need be. So just a solid card. Very good inclusion in the deck. So Armorsmith is another strong card. Very good against aggro. You can drop it turn 2 just for tempo against aggressive decks. And yeah, it does often act as a taunt card, just because decks like Hunter will just kill command it often, just to get it off the board, because they know that they can't win if you just are going to get perpetual armor every turn. And you can also hold it until later on and just use it for big whirlwind combos. Acolyte of Pain is just a very strong 3-drop in the deck. Again, with your whirlwind effects, it allows you to draw a lot, just cycle your deck. Even just drawing 1 is okay. Drawing 2 is great, and drawing 3 cards from it is phenomenal. It's just a very, very good card. Fierce Monkey, it's a 1 of in the deck, just because it trades 2 for 1 most of the time. Strong anti-aggro card. Just a big body, 3/4 taunt for 3 mana. It's very good. Frothing Berserker is one of your main win conditions in the deck. It doesn't seem like it, just a 3 mana 2/4. But if you get a big board, or your opponent has a big board and you have a Frothing Berserker, and if it lives 1 turn, you can use a whirlwind effect and get like a 15-16 attack Frothing Berserker and just smart face with that. It's very, very strong. Next is Ravaging Ghoul. It's basically a 3rd and 4th copy of Whirlwind with a 3/3 body. It's pretty good. Again, very good against Zoo, and it has a lot of synergy with the deck. Next, Arathi Weaponsmith. It's basically included as just it's not a solid minion. It's a 3/3 body for 4 mana is not too good, but it gives you a 2/2 weapon. So again, just another way to contest board. It's basically a replacement for Despite. You want weapons in warrior classes, so just 2 with the Fiery War Axe, it doesn't seem like it's enough. So we have 1 copy of Arathi Weaponsmith in as well. Next is Bloodhoof Brave. So this is just an excellent minion. Very, very strong card. It's definitely gets countered quite hard by Stampeding Kodo, but that doesn't happen too often. When it does feel as bad man. But otherwise, it's just a strong play. Very good on curve, and it's tough. Often it'll eat something like Fireball on turn 4 from mages, and if it goes unanswered, then and you get it activated with the enrage, that's 5 damage. It's quite a lot. Next is Korkron. Korkron Elite is a very, very versatile card. It's great against control decks, just because you get 4 damage in immediately, and it requires an answer. It's good against aggressive decks as well, because it can trade with things like Shaman's Feral Spirits and still being a 4/1. It's still annoying to deal with. It's just very versatile, and that's what I like about it. Next is Karen. So now we're getting into the later game cards, and these can be subbed out for a variety of things. So Karen's just very, very sticky, 4/5 with another 4/5 attached. It does get countered pretty hard by Hex or Entomb, but you can't do too much about that. Most of the time, you're not going to face a Sap, Entomb, or Hex, so it's alright. I don't actually have the card myself, so I do sub in a Sylvanas for it, but I think it's a very strong minion, and if I did, I would definitely play it. Next is Malkorok, just a very strong card. It's not bad. Well, sorry, I should say that it's very good most of the time. It's bad a very small fraction of the time when you get something like a Cursed Blade, and then your opponent can just win the game off of that. But again, that doesn't happen too often, so it's not enough to worry about. But it's a solid mana. 7 mana, 6/5 is not too good, but then the random weapon makes up for it. So just a very strong inclusion in the deck. Next is Grommash, one of the most important warrior legendaries. Very, very strong. With an activator, it acts as a 10 damage finisher, which is very, very strong. Helps you end games. It can also be traded into anything with 4 health, which is quite good as well. Can act as removal. Just again, with the charge, it's quite a versatile card. Next is Ragnaros, the Fire Lord. Another one of your late game removal cards, which does require an answer right away most of the time. And yeah, it can remove lots of things off the board without taking any damage, which is excellent. Or it can just Smart Face. 8 damage is a lot. It's often good even if you just top deck late game and your opponent's at 8 or less health with a board, because then you have an out at least. You can win like a 1 in 6 and then win the game off of it. So it's quite good in many situations. And then lastly, Varian. Again, I don't have this card either, but I think it's just very, very good. It synergizes quite well with the deck. You can draw cards. Again, like in the best case scenario, you get Grom, Rag, and Karen. That'd be very, very good. Happens rarely, but when it does, it's awesome. Even if you just get one of those, like say you pay 10 mana, get a 7/7 and Karen, and then you draw like 2 spells, very, very good still. So I definitely think this is worth a spot in the deck. It's a great late game win condition card. Myself, I run Arc Thief Rafam as a replacement. I think it's quite good, but again, I don't have that card. So yeah, now put your deck in the deck tracker now that you understand how to use it and everything. So now starting to climb, you should just really focus on mulligans at the beginning of the game. Just figure out what you need in each matchup to win. So for the warrior deck, you are going to keep Fiery War Axe in almost all matchups. And then there's some cards that vary with matchups that are better to have versus worse against others. For example, Ravaging Ghoul is very good against Zoo, so I usually keep that. And Execute and an Activator are very good to keep against Shaman or Druid to deal with Shaman's Doctor 4 and Druid's Innervate Coin minions. And with the deck tracker, you can also look at your opponent's mulligans to see if they have a good hand or a bad one. So assume your opponent keeps just 1 or 2 cards and they're playing Warrior, then again you can assume that they do have the War Axe in most cases, so you can play around that if you want. Like for example, as a Tempo Mage, you could turn to Sorcerer's Apprentice, coin Frostbolt their face, so then your Sorcerer's Apprentice lives through the next turn. And here's a video. Again, you have to control click it, and it'll just go to a quick video showing how to mulligan. Next is gameplay. So gameplay is kind of tough because that is a perpetual learning. You perpetually learning how to play the game, really. I'm still doing it. Pros are still doing it. Everyone learns how to get better every game if you're critically thinking about your mistakes. So yeah, you can learn by your mistakes and analyze post gameplay. I think this is good. Just analyze your mistakes after the game. I generally like to do that. While I'm streaming, I'll usually talk about how I made this error or this good play that resulted in the win or the loss. Next, read an in-depth deck-specific guide. That's also very good learning how to play certain matchups correctly. Also good for learning how to mulligan and your win rates against certain decks. Or 3, you can watch an expert pile the deck on YouTube or Twitch. So, for example, if you really want to play Freeze Mage, I would say go watch a guy like Laughing on Twitch. Very, very good Freeze Mage player. And you'll definitely pick up a trick or 2. And then another option is just to wait till later on in the month to play the game. The later it goes, the earlier it is to reach rank 5, because all of the professional players and higher rank players are already in Legend, so you won't be queuing into them while you're below rank 5. So I would definitely say wait until at least day 15 of the month. So you wait till the 15th of the month, then you should start making your climb for rank 5 if you haven't been there before. And yeah, again, the later you wait, the easier it should be. And when do I trade and when do I smork? With each deck that's going to be different, but knowing when to trade and when to smork, it's just really playing the deck a lot, trying out new things in different scenarios. If you think right now you have no way to win, except for unless you're going to top deck, both Fireballs in a row or Fireball Frostbolt, then you have to play like that. You have to play to win the game. You can't play to slowly lose or just to hang on. You have to always play Hearthstone like you want to win. And yeah, just reviewing games is a very good way to do this. Just look at how you could have played a turn differently and then everything would have changed. So say instead of trading, you just went face and you would have potentially a way to have lethal. And yeah, determining which is better helps you win those close games. So here's an example. Again, you'll have to click on that through the Google Docs. It's just a game with me versus VLPS. So I was playing Yogmage and he was playing Control Warrior. At a certain point, I just realized that there's no way that I can win just by playing it out. So I do have to hope that I draw into very good draws to win. So I played around that. I played around the shield block, I believe. He ended up drawing it with one of his last cards. He had 6 cards left in his deck, I believe, by the time the game was over. So I was just sort of playing around him not having that to win. Unfortunately, he did. So he didn't. I'm sorry for the spoiler for the video. But it was definitely a good game, and we did play around our win condition, although it didn't work out for us. It's still a very fun game, and I think I learned a lot. So smorking is definitely good in some scenarios. Next is tech cards. So tech cards are usually very meta dependent, so consider Acidic Swampoo's and Harrison Jones. So I usually say if you're queuing into 50% or more opponents that are weapon classes, then I would suggest running Oozes or Jones. if your deck can permit the room to run those cards. It's very good, especially Shamans. If you're queuing a lot of Shamans with Doomhammer, I would definitely recommend throwing in Ooze and Jones. Often, the Acidic Swamp Ooze or Harrison Jones will just win you the game after turn 5 if that happens, and they play the Doomhammer on curve. And then other examples of tech cards that are great are Doomsayer and decks like Hunter, Tempo Mage. Just a lot of that to counter the turn 2 plays from more aggressive decks. So you can just skip till turn 3 and 4 and then play your solid minions on curve then. Lotheb in wild mode now, but Lotheb is a very good counter against decks like Freeze Mage, Patron Warrior, any combo decks really that just need to get their spells off. Crazy Alchemist is another tech card against cards like Doomsayer. Very good to be running in a deck like Zoo right now. Or second Flame Strike in a deck like Mage. And these are just a few examples. There are a ton of different techs that you can make in Hearthstone. And yeah, in conclusion, if you follow the tips that I've suggested here, I think that you should be able to reach rank 5. But by the end of the season, of course. I'm not saying it'll be an easy road. You could look to play upwards of 100 games just getting there. But I mean, if you follow the tips in the video, you stay consistent, you play one deck, you try not to tilt, and you recognize when you do, you analyze your gameplay, you should be able to get there. And yeah, this is meant to be a general guide again, and some of the information may be incorrect or could be built upon a lot. And if you think any of it is, feel free to let me know. I'd really appreciate that. I am looking to update it, continuously update it on the Google Docs. And yeah, so just let me know if any of that could be fixed or if you have any suggestions. Even with just the video presentation, if you feel like anything could be better, just feel free to let me know. Just leave a comment, let me know what's up. And yeah, at the end, enjoy being a Sea Giant. So congrats on getting rank 5 and getting that golden epic. It always feels good at the end of the season. And yeah, so I just got the deck list from tempostorm.com and then various databases for the card art while going over the deck. And I referenced the Hearthstone deck tracker. So those links are all there. And again, thank you guys very much. Feel free to subscribe to me on YouTube, check me out on Twitch, and follow me on Twitter to let me know when I stream, post videos, all that kind of jazz. Thank you guys very much for sitting through this very boring 22 minutes, and I hope to see you guys soon in the future.